Maybe we should just interject here, because I think for those who are listening who don't know anything about Dungeons and Dragons, the Dungeon Master, or now called a DM, is like the creator, the narrator of the story, that the referee, if you want, of the way that the story is it kind of holds the core narrative, but the players, who are the sort of player characters, then interact and direct the story, don't they? And he or she ultimately acts like a ringmaster, a narrative controller.
I think the context of Dungeons and Dragons, and I would love to see some data on this. I'd love to see some science, but I would suspect that there's a high correlation, super high correlation, between people who have or do play Dungeons and Dragons and work in technology and product. And also, I think there's an incredible parallel of Dungeons and Dragons as it relates to agile principles. So the team itself, the players in Dungeons and Dragons, they're self-organizing. They can do whatever the hell they want, right? But it's the dungeon master who is the scrum master, is also the product owner, is also providing the vision and the narrative of the overall. They're providing the guardrails, so to speak, of what the team is doing, and they're providing those, and they're basically creating the narrative as a storyteller. So I think that what's so important for me in terms of those lessons of Dungeons and Dragons is learning about storytelling and learning how to tell a story in a context of computers and information technology. I think is profoundly powerful. And if you think about creativity and you think about innovation, William, right? Oftentimes the biggest breakthroughs in terms of innovation, they come in the context of pressure. They come in the context of trying to solve a problem, but the innovation itself usually comes from an adjacent type activity that releases that creativity. So for myself, in the context of Dungeons and Dragons, I don't play anymore. I would certainly love to.
You should do. We should get a game together. There we go.
I would love to come down and geek out on the weekend over a game. I think that would be brilliantly fun. That would be great. But I think that narrative of Dungeons and Dragons, and then in product development and in terms of product engineering, I think it's incredibly important. And let's be honest, as a leader, I do see myself as a dungeon master, right? In a very positive sense, because what I'm trying to do for the organization is I'm trying to create those guardrails. I'm trying to create the structure. I'm trying to provide the vision and the mission for what the teams are doing. I want the teams to be autonomous. I want them to be powerful. I want them to have great capability and great skill so that they can accomplish that narrative, right? And I think as leaders, the ability to tell those stories and to talk about them in a way that people can relate to it is extremely important. And I think that, in the context of, C19 and what's going on now, it's even more important to really have that narrative and to have that discussion about what it is we're trying to do and why we're trying to do